stop what you're doing right now, because this guest, you're going to want to hear what she has to say. Believe it or not, I've made the trip to Nashville, Tennessee, and not only have had a fabulous day with this guest, but she even said she would be a guest on the podcast. And why I'm so excited to be sitting next to her, I'm most excited about our listeners and the tips, tricks, and who knows what else we're going to talk about. I'm talking about the one, the only, Angela Proffitt.
GST girls.
And you're going to want to check out our YouTube channel because for sure there is a video of this one. Now, I don't want to leave out one of the co-hosts. Sharon is definitely behind the scenes today, so we're going to have lots of pictures to share out. But Angela, first of all, would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
Yes, I'm Angela Proffitt. I've been in the events industry and hospitality industry for over 2 decades.
What? No way.
Yeah. My family had a venue when I was growing up, and I grew up around it. And then I went to school to be a psychologist, and I worked in mental health. And I love people, and I love working with people and helping people, but healthcare was not for me, not long term. So for fun, on the side, my friends, well, really it was my parents' friends' kids started getting married at our church.
Can you say that fast 3 times?
Oh my gosh, my kid, my friend, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
my parents' friends' kids, yeah. And me and my sister knew how to decorate and plan weddings, so we just started doing it for fun. And this was way before social media, and we started just doing it, and with word of mouth it spread. And then it got so busy to where I could actually leave my full-time job and set out to be this thing called an entrepreneur, which I had no clue what the hell I was doing.
People always say, it sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. It's really scary. I mean, we won't even go down that path today. But it's like everything that you do in life with life experience, you meet people along the way. God plops people in your life at the right times for certain reasons that you have a choice whether to listen and go with the guidance or fight that passion when you know that there's something more. So yeah, I've been in the hospitality space for 22 years.
Well, and what I find most interesting, so we were at a conference not very long ago that had to do with the Association of Bridal Consultants. And honestly, that's the first time I met you in person. And I, after day 1 of the conference, felt like we had known each other
Forever.
for years. It just
Forever.
clicked. And we could go on and on about that. But honestly, we have so much to talk about. I want to hop right in. You have worked with wedding professionals. You've worked with venues all over the world. Honestly, all over the
All
world.
over.
You just came back from overseas.
Turkey, Italy. Yeah.
Yes. So I always love talking to people about their experiences. And I think that's one thing where I'm able to relate a lot with people is even experiences outside the wedding industry. It is amazing working together in collaborations. So we're going to talk about what today?
We're going to talk about marketing and content creation and how to make it.
And before we started, something you said stuck out with me. And I'm going to let you say it the right way. But it's something that you said that you can't take with you. Or why take it with you?
You can't take your knowledge with you. You can't take...
Well, you can.
You can.
But who's that benefiting?
Right.
Well, we don't know. Maybe there's a whole nother world out there we don't know about yet. But why when you could help people here?
So many people with your experiences.
And one of the things that we were talking about was if you're not talking about what you're doing, what you can do, what your business does, what your passions are, why you do what you do, if you're not in front of people, you're going to get left behind.
Mm-hmm. Like a dinosaur.
And unfortunately, some of that is going on, especially in the wedding industry, because some younger people, very smart younger people, although they may have less years of experience, they are on all these social media channels, or they're really utilizing a few. And to me, they're top of mind.
Mm-hmm.
They are out there in people's faces And what does that, I try to share with my audience, but in your words, what does that do?
Well, I mean, and again, I go back when people look at me and they're like, oh, well, you're the selfie generation. It's like, no, I'm not. I have really good genes. But if you're not exposing yourself and if you're not staying top of mind in front of your audience constantly, you're going to be forgotten and then you get left behind. And I was sharing with you earlier, a lot of the people that we work with, they're over 50 and they know that they have to change something because what they're doing is no longer working. And you can still say, we get all of our clients through word of mouth. Hey, we do too, still to this day, our private clients, but our online clients. And then also, if someone who has a very active Instagram or an active Facebook page and they go to look you up and you don't have either of those, a client is more likely to choose someone who has a website, has a Facebook page, and has an Instagram account because they're relevant, they're keeping up. And if I hear one more person say, I'll just hire a young person, get an iPhone, and give it to them, that's not how you fix this. Because because we interviewed some of the younger kids that are under 20 that's actually happened to them. And they feel anxiety, they feel like they're set up for failure because there's no direction. They might be comfortable with the phone, but they don't know how to make money on the phone. They don't have a strategy for social media. And while social media can be very simple and you can it's free, nothing's free at all. Your time is precious and priceless. And so what you choose to do at that time typically is work and do things for clients. And you think you're making money, at least you have money coming in, but sometimes more going out.
That's knowing your numbers, and that's another 2 or 3 episodes. Right.
But it's like you're already doing the work. So why not capture the work that you're already doing? And you can't say to me, oh, I'm too old for that, or that's not an excuse anymore. And I love it when people say that to me. It happened today, and I pulled up my TikTok account, and this guy, Frank, who's literally, I think, I want to say 80 years old, I'm not even being funny, has 6.6 million followers, and his grandchildren, they have taught him and their grandma how to do content, and it's precious, and it's so cute, but it has nothing to do with age. Things constantly change, and if you're not keeping up, then you will be forgotten.
One of the things that stuck out to me when you shared Frank's TikTok was how raw, how authentic. The ones I saw did not have filters. It looked like it was in their living room.
Yep.
They seemed to just be themselves. And you said they have deals.
Mm-hmm.
They have created a brand.
Yep.
And so many times people say, TikTok and Instagram Reels, you're just supposed to be funny or dance. There's a whole nother side to it. And I think, like a lot of things, we get in our own way or we just push that off. And honestly, I worry some of the top wedding professionals that have 20, 30 years of experience that have the critical life skills that become so important when you're running an entire event. They're not even getting a shot at that event. They're not even getting an opportunity for a consultation, for a meeting. Why? Because it's been 6 months since they posted on their Facebook. Or they haven't used Instagram in a year because they're too busy. Or they don't have a TikTok account. And it's really a shame if you think about it, because you don't have a presence online. Kind of similar to not keeping up with your website.
Yeah.
That is unfortunate. And I feel like I preach to people about embracing social media, find a way to turn your camera on, make sure you share your pictures. And that is exactly what we're diving into. And you said you're already doing the work. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mentioned to you, make sure you know the photographer and the videographer. And this is more geared towards wedding professionals. But if you're doing any kind of work like that, make sure you know who those people are. Exchange business cards, or scan their QR code, whatever it is. and get their contact information. Because number one, that's the event that you're part of. And you can use that. I always recommend giving photo credits. That's something you're a part of.
Well, I would have a conversation before the event and ask, like, if there is a planner involved, usually it falls on us, but not always.
And I was kind of that, what I said was more geared towards a planner. So thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, and usually, like, from a planner's, like, if you are a service-based business, even if you're not in the wedding industry or events industry, if you're a service-based business, the only thing that you have to capture is either client testimonials or what you're doing. And if you have a product, it's a little bit easier because you can shoot your product and really get your product out there. But with services, it isn't like that. And something that I've learned the hard way is people want to see who is behind the scenes, like who is the magician or who are the magicians.
Who's executing.
Yeah, like behind the scenes. And so we have all kinds of data to back it up, where if you show your face and you show a little bit behind the scenes, then people learn to like you and they trust you and they learn from you and they're going to listen to you and they're going to take guidance from you. And so one of the best things that I ever did is one of my brand managers was like, there's this thing called Facebook Live and you're going to need to start doing it. I'm like, I don't have time to paint. Are you kidding? Like, and he's like, well, it needs to go on your timeline. And it needs, so we actually have a conversation 30 days before we photo video. We ask, do you guys have time to do this? Do you have a third or fourth shooter? The people that work with us frequently do. They want that credit. They want to be able to provide certain images for the vendors and certain behind the scenes videos. And then if they don't, or they flat out just say no, or the client didn't pay for that, then we have our own people. And we bring them in for 90 minutes to get certain things, and that's building a portfolio. Now, oftentimes, we never do it. We never put it out on the same day, or oftentimes not even the same weekend. Like some of the stuff that goes up was 4 months ago. It's like we're backlogged, right?
But honestly, that really doesn't expire.
Never, never. So we always say, like, keep it evergreen, which I thought that was like Christmas trees. Like evergreen means like it's always going to be good, at least for like 3 to 5 years. So it's not like, I mean, clearly if it's a Christmas wedding and there's Christmas trees everywhere, you know, sometimes we might wait until the next holiday, or we'll do like a Christmas in June special, you know, or something like that. But you've got to keep things relevant. And again, it's like, I didn't start this to do it for, like, to show everybody what we were doing. So when we have clients that are like, why didn't you put my event on this? Or what about this? And I'm like, I didn't do this. I don't do this for social media. Like, social media didn't exist when I started this. Like, I did it for the couple. And if we have an opportunity to capture, I mean, one time there was literally a fire in the kitchen. Like, the kitchen was on fire. No one knows except like the team, like trying to put everything out. And like, I was the one that like pulled the fire. I was like, am I the only one ever knows how to work like fire extinguisher, like for real? And it just so happened to be I wasn't going to work that day. And then
Thank goodness for you.
Right? That I wasn't out there Facebook living, which is what my timeline had said. You know, shit happens. So later that night, the bride said something, and I'm like, we'll talk about it later. You know, in my head, I'm like, if you only knew, like, there's priorities. So now, like, because this was years ago, y'all, now we have someone dedicated on the team that is like doing behind the scenes and BTS and like capturing. The other thing with just the wedding industry is we've done a really poor job educating potential couples on what it's really like. And this is a perfect example. Sharon even said it at dinner. She's like, okay, so some people charge like an attorney. So the industry of lawyers, attorneys, they have done an incredible job, probably the past 30, 50 years, letting you know their worth, letting you know their value.
And you know you're charged by the minute. There is no question. You call them and you talk to them on the phone for 12 minutes, you're getting billed for 15.
Yep.
Some offices may round to the half hour.
Yep, and some up to the whole hour. So and listen, I don't fault that at all. They've done an awesome job. But because we sell this perfect dream, which is a real thing, but you guys, come on, behind the scenes, shit's going down. No matter how much you plan, there's weather, there's so much out of our control.
There's so much on day of. Even as someone that's not currently active, a wedding vendor, I was in the industry for 7 years. And there is so many things that could fall in so many different directions. But we're talking day of, but you're talking the amount of time leading up to it. I mean, right now with everything going on, I can't remember, and I don't want to misquote Sharon, but I think she said like you're wanting, some venues are booked out for 18, almost 2 years or more.
They are in Nashville.
It is, and also the dresses, getting them shipped and everything. Think about that, 18 to 24 months of planning. But that's why I recently went with Mike and Sharon to do some behind the scenes with one of the bride that came on before her wedding. She gave us approval to do so. Oh my gosh, OMG. I mean, I was there from 12 to 9. And the amount of things that happened, there was on no timeline.
And that's a short day, y'all.
Well, I wasn't there. You know, Sharon does, I don't know, 18 hours a day. But I wasn't there when they started hair and makeup at 7 a.m. You're right. But I was there in the room when the bride got dressed.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a whole nother topic. But there is not a curtain being pulled to say, and we're talking about, I'm just mentioning a planner. I have not mentioned the florist, the DJ, the caterer, oh my goodness.
45 plus vendors, pretty much, on every single event we do.
And it's put on wedding planners, if you have one, or yourself, which honestly, my whole mindset about wedding planners have changed because I can remember when I was much younger thinking, I'm pretty organized. You know, I know who I want to use. But honestly, if you attend a wedding and you could see behind the scenes when there's a wedding planner, and you can see behind the scenes when there's not one, you wouldn't make it an hour through watching it to be like, oh, hell no, I ain't doing that. You know, but honestly, you're right. The industry as a whole, from an education standpoint, people seem to expect or assume prices haven't changed that much since when their mom or maybe their grandma got married. Or they think things are easier because of technology or because of Google or because of this, when in all honesty, some things are much more complicated.
It's like if you had a mother or father that they were having a heart attack, you take them to a hospital and you hope it's a chest pain center and you hope they have good cardiologists. And if there is a stent or a specialty, you need a cardiothoracic specialist surgeon. So you wouldn't go to Google and look at how to do that.
Well, we wouldn't. I mean, I hope everybody out there would answer the same.
But it really is, you know, I mean, and we work with a lot of physicians, and I was in health, you know, Sharon and I are both in healthcare, so it's like, they just kind of laugh, but when their kids get married, which those were some of my very first clients, were the doctor's daughters getting married, and they're like, I don't know how you do this, I don't know how.
They don't want no part of it.
They're like, pay whatever, how much do you cost? Like, right. But they get it. They get it, that it is a special thing with a special touch, and life experience brings you along, but then on top of that, you build relationships with your vendors, the expectations, you don't have to potty train people when you've been doing it for a while, and I'm being funny and all. But seriously, it's like when you have to work with a new person every single time, even if you both have a lot of experience, you might not be on the same page with expectations.
Absolutely. And if you're a wedding professional or business owner and you're like, wait a second, am I listening to the right episode? I thought this was marketing. Actually, to be honest, it is. What we've just talked about is knowing your worth. Coming to terms with what are you worth? And there's a whole other thing. You need to know your numbers and things like that. If you have not evaluated your prices, and I know a lot of people out there have been at the same price point for a long time. We're going to get back to the conversation of content, but really sit and think about the equipment, the training, the continuing education, the insurance. Those rates have went up. Your mileage. I mean, I could list things for days. Everything is increased. And some people say to me, well, I don't think I should raise my prices every year. Well, everything else goes up. Hell, gas changes by what, the minute?
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it really comes down to knowing your worth or respecting yourself. Because you have a saying, and we saw this earlier. I'll let you say it. If it doesn't,
If it don't make money, it don't make sense.
And honestly, if wedding professionals out there, I hope, but I know some of them aren't, if you're not in the green at the end of an event, how in the world are you putting food on the table for your family?
And if you know what that means, it's okay, because I operated a business for 10 years. I didn't know what red, green, net, or gross. I didn't know what any of that meant until someone got a hold of me and taught me. And they made up really funny stories so I could remember what all that meant. It's real vivid now.
Well, and again, it comes down if you don't know your numbers, but we're going to circle back around to content because the way that leads have changed and pushing traffic to your website is honestly comes down to consistent content on social media. Sure, you can talk about email marketing and text message marketing and all of that, but if you're not consistently showing up for your business, that means your audience doesn't know about you. Or what about people out there that don't know about you, but they need a person that offers your products or services? And if you're not active, so what tips can we share with them? Like how to really just embrace content.
You don't have to show your face, although I'm going to tell you to show your face.
Oh, I was going to say, don't give them an out.
And you don't have to use your voice, okay? So
she's really being nice.
I am. The first 3 months, just capture what you're doing. So you have a freaking smartphone, okay? We all have smartphones. So prop it up, get you a $10 Amazon stand.
Or if you got some books laying around and you don't want to take that step to get a tripod yet.
Or you could stack up a toilet paper rolls, which a client actually did and sent a picture. This is during the toilet paper shortage.
Okay, no judgment though. You got plant, books, anything.
And just record what you're doing. Now your hands may be in it. And then the platforms, because they've come such a long way, you could put text on the screen, you could do a voiceover, and you gotta just get the comfort level. You don't even have to do anything with it yet. Just get the
press
content.
record. Right.
Just press record.
That red button
Yep.
is very inviting.
Yep. Have a battery backup charger just in case. Like you want to make sure that it's plugged in because it does run a little bit. But you're already doing the work. That's step 1. Then step 2 is to treat yourself like a client. We talked about this. Like my team, we treat my personal brand like I am a client. And we put client meetings on the calendar, GSD meetings once a month, where all of the speaker stuff we've done or whatever I've done, my personal podcasting stuff, we grid out the content, we plan it out, and you work on your business, in your business. So treat yourself as a client. You would never stand up with a client. And that kind of changes your mindset a little bit. So then if you want to plan it out, and then you could get someone to help you actually post it. Or you could just watch a YouTube video, which is a lot of how I've learned, or I have paid and gone to other people's conferences or taken their online courses to know how to do some of this stuff.
And if you don't feel comfortable, and if you have the extra money, outsource it, and then you're not even thinking about it. That is if. And if not, you're going to have to dive in. And it circles back around to investing in yourself. Treating yourself like a client. You have to put yourself first.
And this is where knowing your numbers matters because, like, for example, you should know that you have an hourly rate. Everyone should know that it costs them, and I'm just making this up, $3,000 an hour to run their business. Like, if you look at the most successful businesses that are the most profitable, people know how much it takes when they are out of their company. And so you have to know what that number is so that when you start to pull yourself away from your kids' game or your mom's sick or your dad's sick. I mean, I went through this and I thought there's no amount of money that's worth me not being there. And the clients will have to wait or they'll just have to go to a team member. And I realize not everybody has a team, but this is another reason that you should consider even an internship program to start building a team, and they can help you get this content. But one thing I don't want to forget to talk about, there's this book called Empowering Yourself. I think it's not on Audible, so I paid someone to read it. She was on my podcast, it's actually my sister-in-law. And
that comes down to automate and delegate. That would fall under the delegate category. And then would she give you a report?
well, what I paid
short
her
version.
per hour was like a very small amount that came out of my hourly rate, right? That I could pay her to read the book and it'd be on the podcast and just give us the high level. But
Oh
then-
my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's just like cleaning house. Like I don't clean, I don't cook, I don't clean. It's like a Cardi B song or something. But it's like I would rather pay someone to do those things to free up my time so I can go help someone else. And I don't mind taking some money out of my hourly pay and giving it to someone else to support another business. And that's what they do to free me up.
That's their specialty.
Yeah. It's like I Uber meetings sometimes because I need to get work done. It's not because I don't have a car and it don't work. It's just I need some time and I don't want to sit in traffic anyway. Squirrel. So this book, The Pie, y'all, this is really good. So in 2019, there was this study done. So PIE, P-I-E. P is performance, so how you perform at your job. I is your image. What is the image of what you want people to say about you? And then you have your exposure. How much are you actually putting out there? And so we had a family dinner conversation, and my mom's like, well, back when I was your age, I mean, performance was everything. You got a raise every year if you performed well. And it don't work like that anymore, y'all. So 10% in someone making a purchasing decision for service-based industry, 10% was performance. That's effing sad.
What?
Image was 30%. And so that's what other people say to their friends about your service.
Yes.
And 60% was exposure, meaning those that are showing up consistently on social media, showing what they do. And it's not bragging, you guys. It is what it is. Like, you should be proud of what you're doing. You don't have to be arrogant. You don't have to be. It's not showing off. In fact, I used to have that mindset.
Please preach it, because I've said it.
Listen,
Share it.
when people are like, oh, well, that's great that you've traveled the world and you've like worked on all these private islands and can I just climb in your suitcase? And it's like, but what you don't know is all the preparation and the planning and the shit that happens behind the scenes. My very first private island wedding in Antigua with someone who was on American Idol, and we land, there's no Hobby Lobby, there's no Walmart, there's no nothing. You put your stuff on barges, pray it gets through customs and make it. Guess what? Her flowers didn't.
You have to have your shit together.
Yeah. I'm climbing up trees in the middle of the night where I could go to jail for cutting down just like greenery and shit to have something. And she could have cared less. She did not care at all. That's not the point, but it's like and then her dress got wet, the sand or the salt in the water started eating at the crinoline in her dress, and it just started to, I mean, there's all these things. You can't just run and go get a spot treatment because it's not
What do you mean you
on this
can't?
little island, right? And so it's not that easy where it sounds so glamorous, and it's like, yes, it's neat.
It's fun once it's over, but let's talk about the stress.
Yeah, and everyone's looking at you. Like every time there's an issue or a problem. And so it's like, but with anything, there's pros and cons. But it's like, don't ever discount someone's excitement for expanding in their business or doing something new or going and traveling the world. If someone's making fun of you or saying like, oh, that's nice that you like bought that car, you know, you're just bragging, you're showing off. And it's like, actually, I worked my ass off and I'm really proud. How about you say, I'm so proud of you.
Well, like, how about saying
Congratulations.
thank you to them, because obviously you must be doing something right.
Right? I mean, how about we look at it from the positive lens of
People do not empower other people. Now, I'll be honest with you. I feel like COVID helped. If we have to talk about a positive of it, it made us back to kind of human. Yes. our human roots of, empowering. But I just had this conversation with a couple people about we don't take enough pause to really process the impact we have for others. And this goes for all business owners. And I feel like one of the outlets that you can utilize to not only benefit that power of the pause, but also to share with the world what you're doing is by turning your camera on and talking about that project, talking about that event. If you don't prefer to be on camera, blogging about it. And then maybe one day you'll get up the courage, I hope you do, to where you just read that. Or you share pictures on your social media about that, because that's an accomplishment. I tell people every day that you wake up and you choose to be in business for yourself or an entrepreneur, hats off to you. It's not easy.
And you're going to have people make fun of you. Recently, and for me personally, like there's a much deeper story to like the whole capturing everything. So, and I mean, I just don't talk about it because why would I need to? But I was recently in Italy and we were filming at 12 different locations, and it was getting ready to launch a certification. And there were I was probably the youngest one there in age and in business. Most of these people have been in business 30 and 40 years. And some of them are really good at social media, and some of them aren't. Most of them have learned, or they've adapted, or they have hired someone to help them. And so we were doing like a TikTok workshop, and there was one guy in the group. He's just such a Scrooge about everything. And he's like, "Can you just get the phone out of your face for like one lunch or one dinner? Like you're so annoying." And I looked at him, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to tell you why I'm so into like capturing all the moments. I know you don't know me and my brand very well, but my brand is all about being present. That's actually what, outside of weddings, like I teach people how to be present. And but the main reason, I'm like, my dad had the craziest life. I mean, he was an undercover drug agent, and I mean, the stories and it's like he could talk for days and days and days. He got throat cancer and he died. And we always talked about him writing a book or starting a podcast. This is when, I had my own podcast. I never even had my own dad on my podcast, And he wanted to do all these things, and then it's like he never smoked, he never drank, but he got throat cancer and couldn't talk for years. And so when that happened, it's just so sad that it's like we have no documentation for like the grandkids just to know like how awesome he was. So it's just like, it's so much more than that. So it's like, don't make fun of people. It's like, yes, I love capturing things, but like for my young nieces and nephews, it's like if you can dream it and you're smart enough and you apply yourself, and yes, you're gonna fall down, and yes, you're gonna make mistakes, and yes, people are gonna make fun of you, but you fail fast. And the faster you fail, the faster your ass gets up, and you learn, I'm never doing that again. I'm gonna say no the next time to that, or I'm gonna ask more questions. But you never, ever, ever take something away from someone where you don't know. And then something else happened. Like we were all like traveling together, and there were like 20 of us, and I have these bottles that I carry my shampoo in, and they look like they're, dollar store, like the caps are falling off, and I can afford better like little travel things, but they were my dad's, and it's like, I carry this and if someone like took those and like tried to replace it with like nice design or whatever, but it's like the meaning behind the safety, and you never know, what's the saying, one man's treasure is another man's trash. You just don't know. And so I always try to tell people, like, don't judge a book by its cover. You never know what's going on. And so I don't do it for myself. I do it to show other people what's possible. And then the younger kids of the generation, yes, there's a lot of bad on social media. There's some awful things, but there's some amazing things and amazing opportunities that I would have never gotten. I may not even know you guys if one of the girls hadn't seen me on social media, so it's just like, if you think about all the good that comes from it, and stop shaming influencers and stop shaming people that are brand ambassadors. They're out there doing the fun content, but you like and trust them, and it's a business. It's a business.
Turn it on. Do it for yourself.
Yes.
Well, what you just said, thank you for sharing with our listeners. I didn't even know that story.
I don't talk about it a lot.
But honestly, I don't think even people realize that you can download your content off this most social platforms. And what a way to kind of put together your own roadmap of what you and your business have been through, or to share, like for me, with my nieces and nephews. I don't have kids of my own. And they're too young right now to be on social media, but you're doing it for not only yourself, but you're making a difference for your audience. And you're right, so many people instantly judge a book by its cover. And it's really unfortunate. And I wish that all of us could do better about that. Honestly, I do.
There's an app called 1SE, so it stands for 1 second every day. And so you can just, whatever the highlight of your day is, like take a second. And so when my dog got sick, I would have cried. I took 1 second, like every day, when I knew he was going to die for like 3 months. And then you put a little montage together, And it's like, I still can't release the montage because I can't say it with a straight face. But it's like, those are so precious, So if you just do it with your work, why not? Like, I do it in my personal life, and my family, they're like, can you put that in phone up? And I'm like, but then when I leave, and not an hour I get home, and my sister's texting me, and she's like, are you going to send me those pictures for Facebook? And it's like, see,
You were just bitching that I had it out.
you want the content. And, my team has learned to just shut up sometimes. Like, they're like, I'm like, wait. It's like I get on their nerve. And then later they're like, oh, I'm so glad you did it. But like you were saying, at the end of the year, at the end of every year, we like take a little second of like all the big things and where we've been, the events, and then like share it with like your clients and your vendors, like a recap. And like we've done it so many years in a row. And let me tell you, what you think is so not interesting to someone is so. My very first video, I was literally soaking 500 white washcloths from Dollar Tree in my bathtub. I sliced up cucumbers and I was soaking them because we had an outdoor wedding in August, and we were rolling them and putting them in the freezer and giving them to guests the next day. And so my brand guy was like, he was like, just video that. And I was like, no, I'm gonna be in my robe with my hair on my head. No, I have no hair, no makeup. He's like, just do it. And so I did. And it was like a huge hit. And what I thought, I was like, this is just common sense. Like, this is stupid. He's like, not everyone has ridden on a ship to a private island. When you get off and they're handed a little towel, but so what you think is maybe normal or just like your norm is not the norm for anyone else.
Or people will think nobody will be interested in this. Like, who's going to want to watch this?
Exactly.
Like, or people, look, I don't have my makeup on. Or, oh, you know what? I can't turn on my video right now and have lipstick on. I couldn't tell you how many times I've heard that. Or, well, I don't really know if I have the right shirt. And I have to admit, I have been as guilty of it as the next person. And the more I have paid attention to your stuff and gotten to know you, it has really just made me want to be, and I mentioned this to Sharon, again, she's in the background, so we keep referring to her, but I even mentioned to Sharon earlier, like, I want to get to a point with being more comfortable with less and less makeup on. And it's not, there's really, for me, it's just, oh, I'm going to do video. It's just an automated thing. It's not even something that, and you know what? Video and pictures, the connection with people, when it's more raw and authentic, people aren't scrolling past that. The produced stuff, honestly, I mentioned this before we recorded. I feel like the playing field is leveling some in the direction of entrepreneurs and small businesses because it doesn't have to be as produced content. Now, disclaimer, I work with videographers. All of those people, professional videographers, photographers, all those things have an important place. Shout out to them because technology, software change at lightning speeds. And trust me, I am not here to tell you, you do not need professional
You need that. You need that.
All those things. However, on a daily basis, capturing content, use it to your advantage because a couple years ago, it seemed like everything needed to be produced until the C word came around and you were in your homes. And for something to point more in the direction of entrepreneurs and small businesses and all those things, run with the opportunity.
And that's what, I feel like COVID's going to be here. Like, I will never not hear of the pandemic and COVID, as long as we
Oh gosh, wow. Do we have to think like that?
my mindset around it is when you get too comfortable doing something, you start to die out. And so, you hear all the time, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Like, I say that all the time, and I have to tell myself that sometimes too. Like, anything bad that's happening, I'm like, okay, this is just an opportunity to teach and learn, and God is doing this for a reason. Like, don't act crazy. Everything happens for a reason. I just can't come up with the reason right now. But usually things come full circle. But for those of us who really understand how to pivot and understand how to push and do something new and reinvent, it really put us to the test of how are we going to make money? How are we going to take care of our clients? And you know what? You push through. You do what you have to do. And that's all there is to it. I needed it a few weeks when everyone was like, what are we going to do? I was like, I don't know. I need you to stop talking for 2 weeks. Leave me alone. And I need to sit and look at my whiteboard. Yep, I use a whiteboard and big paper just for the day. And then I take a photo and video of it, then it goes in the cloud. But I need to think here. And you need to think about, like, what am I good at and what am I passionate about? And when you put those two genius things together and you start talking about it and sharing it, guess what? When you talk about it, it's so cool, y'all. The shit comes back to you. And that's like, when people are like, oh, are you just going to completely get out of the after COVID? I was like, whatever. And I'm like, we really miss people. We really miss our events. Like, as cheesy as it sounds, like, we love all the, like, love in the air and the happiness in the air. And you're either born with wanting that or you're not. And so it, like, feeds. It's like an addiction almost. So, like, it feeds that addiction. And so, those of us who are really, like, people, we figure it out.
It's interesting you mention it like that because I feel like there was kind of a lot of people had to pivot. Okay, I've been using evolve more,
clarify,
because I've really got
to clarify what we're
pivot. Right, but it's interesting now because it's almost like there's another little shift, another little pivoting. How can I go back partially, but clean up some stuff that maybe I really enjoy? You have had 3 parts of your business, but you really enjoy 1 or 2 of them, and again they're kind of pivoting back, like you just mentioned. And I think we all missed events. I think especially those that were social and like to be around other people, and that's what made you energized and want to work more on your business, and conferences and classes and continuing ed. That's what all keeps us going and the wheels turning inside your business. And so when all that was gone, it really led us to it led us down a path to appreciate it more.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to more and more conferences as the world evolves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like events, social happenings, it's going to open back up, maybe slowly. There may be a few setbacks, but embrace the opportunities that are there. And one of the things that you said about your dad, why you have a voice, why you're able to help people and give back, share your passion.
Yeah.
You never know who you're going to help, how many people you're going to help, how many people those people are going to help. You just don't realize the domino effect and the positive impact you can have in one person or thousands of people.
And it doesn't have to be hard, guys. Like, it's the simplest things. Like, today we started, it's like, step 1, clean off your camera lens on front and back. And it's like the simplest things. And sometimes people, like when I do tips on TikTok or on Instagram Reels, and well, everybody knows that, duh. And like, I'll comment back and say, well, actually, most of the people we work with are over 50, and while they have a smartphone, they don't know how to use it in a smart way. And so we help break that down for them and have fun with it. So that's awesome that you know that. Why aren't you doing any tips yourself? Shut the F up, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously, that's kind of what I really want to say. Sometimes, if you catch me on a bad day, which I have many bad days, I wake up every day, I'm like, today is going to be a good day no matter what, right? Because y'all, when you work in mental health and you work in psychology, like, you think you're having a bad day? Like there's real bad days. And so, you know, it's like people are like, oh, I'm so blessed. I'm like, no, we worked really hard to get here. There's nothing about like angels flapping down around us. Like you put the work in, you show up consistently, and you get a return. Period. The end. Like,
well, and one thing my grandpa used to always share is be thankful for what you have. There's always somebody else out there that has it much worse off.
Always.
Always.
Always. Always. You never know. The other thing too is like just with, you know, in marketing, I was telling you guys this earlier, like with marketing and content, when you have a troll or you have someone like lashing out at you, that means you've made it. Because they're
celebrate.
Yeah, somebody's paying attention, and you've struck a nerve with them that could potentially save their life. And usually, like, it's just a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of you. Like, you're happy. You love what you do. You're out here helping people. And let me tell you, for 1 out of every 100, like, you're gonna have people that just are not in the same mindset as you. They don't see the world as you, and that's okay. Because it takes all types for the world to go around, right? There's all kinds of personalities, and you're not for everybody. And so if someone's like rude
and
or
that's
lashing,
okay.
and that's okay. Like if someone's being rude or lashing out, like I know a lot of people that will go and delete the comments. I don't. I like arguing my comments. It helps the algorithm go out. It's pushing my content out for free. You keep on arguing. I love doing Apple tips, and the seers come on and they argue.
Haters, welcome here. I just see the lights flashing and neon. Haters, welcome here. Please comment.
But it's like, and then if they get rid, you know, I'm like, okay, I'll pray for you. You clearly need some prayer.
Unless it's a bad day, then you might hear something else that she has to say.
Yeah, you might hear go to hell, but then one of my girls will delete it because they want me to be professional.
Absolutely. I feel like we could go on and on.
But we got a wine and dessert dinner, a date.
We do. And honestly, Angela has graciously agreed to allow Mike to come with us and Sharon to do a podcast episode. So you'll hear her back for a Wedding Wednesday episode very soon. We may have to make it our 2 or 3-parter because I just got a feeling when Sharon and Mike get in here,
we all talk a lot.
I'm gonna have to mute their microphone. I always forget I have that power with this little controller here. Yes, I do. But in all honesty, I can't wait to dive in and I love to sit and listen to wedding planning, and then I love to kind of chime in and get Mike and Sharon going, and to have you in that, oh my. We definitely have to make it a 2 or 3-parter. So Angela, in all honesty, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know this went in a few different directions, but in all honesty, I think what we wanted to accomplish with this, I think, was far more exceeded what we set out to do.
Just go for it. Like, don't worry about what everyone else thinks about you.
Take action. That's what word I've been using this year.
Film something.
Messy action. It doesn't have to be perfect.
No.
Just go.
Film something. And
wait, can they use pictures if they haven't done a lot of that yet?
Yes, but just know that pictures aren't going to be pushed through the algorithm. Pictures are very much pay to play.
Yes.
And so video is where it's at right now.
And you don't have to it doesn't have to be your face. You don't even have to see.
You don't.
Just do it.
But tag the podcast.
Please.
If it's your very first.
Yes.
And then you guys could start helping, like, get a little group together of people to, like, encourage each other for posting.
Accountability group.
Yes.
And one of the things I was going to mention to you, I've been doing that recently with TikTok accountability and Instagram accountability. And honestly, it really does help because we're going and looking and like, oh, that's a good idea. And you can have just another business owner or another friend that's your accountability partner and it will keep you going and pointed in the right direction of action.
2 quick apps. So if you want to do TikToks, you can get TikSave, and then you save the video after you post it to your account, and then you can reuse it on Reels, and it takes all the branding off. And then Trend Talk gives you the top sounds that are trending daily. And yes, guys, you have to pay. I think it's like $5 a month, but it saves you so much time. So why would you not pay for it?
Absolutely.
And that gives you a little bit of edge against everyone else. So you can watch and repeat your content and then use the trending sounds.
Absolutely. Okay, we have more tips and information coming your way. Angela, thank you so much. For anybody that wants to connect with you, the best place to go, your website?
AngelaProffitt.com is my personal brand site, 2 F's and 2 T's, and then GSDcreative.com is our company site. And then if you want some free video tips, you can go to GSDsecrets.com.
Woohoo! She's giving away secrets. You can always follow her on Instagram. I encourage you to follow her on TikTok. And maybe that will help you stop with the eye rolling to know that anybody can do it and that it is important to be active. So thank you everyone for listening. If you've liked what you've heard, please leave us a review. Make sure to tag us on your new content that you're putting out. I know Sharon's going to be putting up some here real soon, so you'll see some tags from her that take action. That's the best tip we can give you. GSD. Until next time, everyone stay safe and keep working on your business.
Bye, y'all.
See ya.